What's up everybody, and welcome to the Live Fully Drumcast Vlog episode 2. My name is MarSin, and basically I'm just using this as a way to help document my kind of trip and road back to recovery. I lost the use of my hands for 10 years due to an autoimmune disease. And after dedicating 15-20 years or so since my mom gave me a pot and spoon to bang on my crib to mastering drums, having lost the use of my hands was really difficult. So this is just something that I wanted to put together, hopefully to help inspire people, help give a couple of different ideas. So for me, it's almost like I'm relearning how to play drums for the second time. So I know I had a couple of questions through some of the comments, and I reached out to some of the topics that some of you wanted to potentially hear about. Big thanks to StiGy and his drum channel, which will be linked below. What's up, StiGy? Truly appreciate your support, my friend. Big shout outs, anything I can do to help, always here. One of the things to make you sound awesome and amazing on a drum set is simply, well, your drum setup. So I'm going to share a little bit right now as to how I look at it. First of all, I think everybody and everyone's body is a little bit different. So the way I like to set things up for myself is, a natural position for my elbow, right down here. So this is where I like to be. Besides that, my thinking is the closer, the easier it is for me to sort of do this and have everything close together, the better. The way that I position the drums in terms of the actual angle, I think for me, the more similar the better. It's very similar for me to sort of hit things and transition. So the closer these things are together, the easier it's going to be for you to go. So that's the idea behind that. Now notice I have my snare at a tilt over here, and that's because one of the initial videos I did was about making sure you're getting the most out of your drums in terms of the variety of the different types of sounds. And I did it just on one snare, and I depicted and shared all the different sounds that you can get just from one drum. And depending on the music, and there's no hard or fast rules for this, I'm hitting the snare in multiple different places. A lot of the time, if I'm doing a backbeat, I'm literally playing all notes as rim shots. So, let me maybe give you guys an example to demonstrate. So let me kind of just mess around with it a little bit, but hopefully you'll see the other types of notes I'm hitting are kind of really close to, they're almost like a rim shot, but they're very close to the edge, which will give me those overtones in almost like a reggae type of style. And sometimes I'm playing kind of in between. And that slight nuanced difference can make a really big difference in how that backbeat and how that drum feels. So let me see if I can demonstrate a little bit, and go. So, a lot of people I see have different snares. For me, I like to get more out of my snare, and sometimes if you're doing an accent and you want that Latin feel, playing right here, right? Or that backbeat. That's centered, right? So maybe that's something that'll bring some consciousness around to those different sounds. So that's one reason why I tilt the drum set here. The rest of the drums are also sort of tilted in a very similar manner. You always see a lot of metal drummers and so on and so forth. They kind of have their drums tilted this way, and they're beating on them that way. Now look, there's no right way to this. The point of the matter is that your body is going to adjust 100%. Your tendons are going to adjust to whatever's familiar with you. But for me, this is the sort of setup I like. Like, again, right here, really comfortable position, right where your elbows fall, so that you can comfortably get that rim shot. And then, again, transition real here. It allows for really smooth transitions. Now, another point on cymbal setup. So, for me, the whole entirety of drums breaks down to a dance in your mind's eye, in your mind's ear, between a low sound and a high sound. Everything is that. So that is the bass drum and the snare, right? For 15 years, I never had a drum set. And, you know, that was another thing. My first video was about making strengths out of weaknesses. And, you know, I always wanted to play drums. I couldn't do it. And yet I find that there are so many times where you can take what is sometimes a hurdle in life and actually turn it into a strength. So by practicing in your mind, you are essentially practicing on the drum set. Because in my eyes, the goal of a drummer or a musician is you want to get to that point where you sharpen your mind to be able to create what should be played, and then you attune your body to coordinate to be able to reproduce that. So that you're not thinking about, I don't approach drums by thinking about, I have to play this note here. I hear it in my head, and I use the power of my imagination. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's all about attuning your body to what your mind's ear hears, and elevating your mind's ear to be able to hear some amazing things that can really accentuate a piece of music that you're playing to. And you can do and train that portion, the mind's ear portion, by listening and by practicing. So even if I used to live in New York City and I'd take the subway an hour and a half, I'd be playing and listening in my head, and I'd be going doom bop doom doom bop ba doom ba da boom ba doo ba da ba boom, and that trained the syncopation in my head for me to be able to go. Right? And the same thing goes for everything else. So taking it one step back, everything is an interplay between a low sound and a high sound. So just as I'm playing those notes between the bass drum and the snare, I can play it right hand lead. So everything for me breaks down into, okay, first thing I listen to is what is the root beat of a song I'm playing to. And the great thing about drums is 90% of songs break down into pretty much about 5 different beats. So as long as you know those 5 beats, you're technically playing those songs correct. The rest is about building on top of those root notes. So what are the main notes that I need to play to be the main accents that I need to play in order to be able to hit that root beat? And then from there, as long as you fall back on those notes, you're good. Now bringing that back to the cymbals. in my head, I'm hearing this difference between low and high, right? Just like you're hearing. Well, I'm hearing high, low, low, high, low, right? Things are ending on either that low note or that high note. If it's a high note, if it's a low note, right? So you may not be aware, but all of my cymbals are set also in an order where I'm going from high to low. So when I'm accenting and I want to hit something like, or high-low like, high, right? So it's the same thing as, right? So right away, I almost don't have to think, and I can hit any two notes, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and I know I'll be ending on a lower cymbal note. And that makes playing a lot easier. Now, later on, you will get more attuned to specifically which cymbals to hit. That will be the low and the high, but also convey the right piece for that particular part in the music. But to start out with that sort of an arrangement truly helped me out. You'll also notice that I stack a lot of cymbals. So as much as I absolutely love getting the most out of a cymbal and using things like the ride, or the bell in each cymbal, or even the sides like that, again, the more I have closer together, the more options I have. Plus, you know, over time as you get used to something like this, it does build accuracy, because I have to be able to hit the cymbal within the 3 centimeters that are here without touching this one. And eventually you start to build a really great accuracy. Now, as always, I know a lot of people love to sort of get ideas on how to get some pretty killer licks in. So my favorite, by the way, of all time is just simply a triplet. This is also a wonderful way to warm up. And it really, you can convert it into many different things along the drum set. So the 16th note triplet, in my eyes, is one of the best ways to warm up, and it sounds something like this. So what you want to do is back to being able to attune your body to play what your mind is hearing. So you kind of have to get in sync without thinking about it. You want to take some of these movements and make it so that they're second nature. And I look at this almost as a scale in and of itself, right? High, lower, 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 right? So if I'm doing triplets, right, left, snare, right, left, this, right, left, tom, right, left, lower tom, right, left, floor tom, I just want to find a way to do this in a completely relaxed way, and then so that I'm truly connected and I'm not forcing anything. So when you play tennis or racquetball or martial arts, anytime you try and force something, you immediately drain yourself of energy and you lose accuracy, and that's not what we want on the drum set. You want to do these crazy licks and fills and whatnot, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't drain you and that's absolutely precise. So the key to do that is to do it organically, which is to start out slower. So I'm just going to demonstrate. This is one of the best warm-up exercises. It's super simple, but it's a great way to just warm up. I just demonstrated it before, but here, let me do it again. So just do that around the kit. That's a great way to warm up until it becomes absolutely natural. And then back to it all, the first rule of my rules on drumming is do what you have, do what brings the most joy to you. So if any of this stuff you don't feel like doing it, don't. Do what you love. The bottom line is that the more you're going to spend time at any one thing, the more successful you're going to be. So I would literally completely ignore any drum lessons I had, and I would just play to my favorite music. And that's the best way, in my opinion, to become a better player, because in that, when you're playing to your favorite music, you're inspired. It's going to make you love the drum set. It's going to multiply into you playing for hours more. Furthermore, you're playing to a metronome because you're playing to a band. Furthermore, you're playing to other musicians, so you're getting an influx of rhythmic and melodic ideas into your head. And finally, you're playing with other musicians, so your ear is automatically going to discern how what you're playing sounds within the context of other music. So think about it. You could practice by yourself, staring at some sort of exercise, which I used to hate, or you could, for 2 hours, bang away at a drum set and figure out that natural coordination and connection. And I think as long as you approach it right, where you're starting to listen to where the root note of that song is, and you're trying to essentially mimic it and play the equivalent of air drums on it. That's really what's gotten me to be able to get to the level where I am right now. So hopefully you found some value in that. I know that was a lot of information. I'm more than happy to go into a little bit more detail and anything that might be important for you guys as you progress through your playing. I'd love to get some feedback. So positive or negative, what you liked, what you might like to hear more from or about. And with that, I will leave you guys with a drum solo.